as members of parliament representing people from Western Uganda. On board, we have members of opposition, we have members of NRM, and we are having a common voice because we are fighting for our farmers, whether a farmer is an FDC farmer, NRM, or UPC. And the reasons why we are here, we've just come to assure Ugandans, including the President Museveni, who is so greedy, that this time we are not going to accept and sit. Ugandans who are watching us, when President Museveni invited us in caucus as NRM, I was very happy that among the people who were given an opportunity to ask him, Mbwa, the dog barked. And this is the message I told the president. He stood up and said he's going to crush UCDA. And I told him, you know, he likes to use Banyankore proverbs. And I told him the same. I said, Your Excellency, in Banyankore we have a proverb that akuchizire naita sho ahungura nyoko omweta sho. Whoever is older than you can kill your dad, marries your mom, and you still call that person your dad. I said, you're going to crush UCDA, you want to kill us. You want to kill our economy. We shall still respect you as the fountain of honor, the chief of defense forces, but that pain will never go away from our heart. He listened to that. So I've come to assure Ugandans that this time we must extend this war of verbal artilleries if we are to win it. As my colleague has alluded, we must go on ground, mobilize these farmers, not to vote even this NRM of mine that is rotting. Which interest does he have in this? Whose interest are they legislating for? Whose will? Who has requested him that coffee farmers are suffering, that they need rescue? I asked even a question. You know, crying more than they believed. You know, I normally train people how to cry. Yes, and if you have a party, you can invite me, a funeral, and I show you. In our culture, if you've lost your dear one, and for you you've come as to just say sympathy for the family, you shouldn't cry more than the bereaved family. As they are heightening their voice, for you, you lower a little bit. But if yours comes up so much, they get to know that this one is the one who has killed him or her. This is what is happening. For us in Western Uganda, we came and told the president, the prices of tea, we need some rescue. We needed bailout. For us who needed bailout, we've not gotten any bailout. The coffee industry, where we are doing extremely well and we don't need any government intervention, it's where he's showing interest. What a greedy man. No, we cannot accept. I uprooted tea, my 20 acres, I've planted coffee. Now, the same man who has made me to lose money in tea, he's following me up.
In the coffee.
In the coffee. We need to tell Ugandans facts. Let me tell you what you didn't know. In this government of ours, if you came up with a theory and you told my government that, you see, there is a lot of gold in cow dung, the following day, the whole family, the one you know, it will come up, it will put an embargo that nobody should even sell cow dung, even if it is your cow. They will even compel you to look for baskets to make sure that you can tap cow dung because they think it is very lucrative. That's how greedy Mr. Museveni and his team has gone. He killed our cooperatives. Banyankore quieted and a cooperative. If you think in Western Uganda we don't have coffee, we had Banyankore quieted and a cooperative. When they came to power, they told Ugandans cooperatives are useless. They killed that was wise survived. Now they are saying they want to revamp cooperatives after killing, selling, eating, and our people are so poor. We are not going to sing the song, Mr. President, we are happy, all the same, we are happy, we are so poor, but all the same, we are happy. No, we're not going to sing that song for you. We cannot be unhappy and sing for you the song that we are happy to appease you. Enough is enough. What you've plundered in this country, I think it is enough to cater for you. Leave our coffee. We don't need your intervention. Please accept the little that you are having. Lastly, I want to caution all the MPs. The time we were crying for tea crisis, only a few MPs from tea growing area spoke and supported the cause. Now I'll tell you, there was this man who was called Martin Moeller in Germany, when there was, you remember the Nazism regime, he said that when they came for communists, I kept silent because I was not a communist. When they came for trade unionists, I couldn't speak because I was not a trade unionist. But when they came for me, nobody spoke because I was only left alone. You remember Hitler had killed every person, but whenever he was killing, this Pastor Martin could keep quiet. But when they came for him to be killed, nobody spoke for him, and he also died. The same applies to us as MPs. If the matter is touching Karamoja, that they are plundering gold of Karamoja, and a member brings the point, even if you are not from Karamoja, let us fight for Ugandans. So now you can see, tea first, few people came to support us. Now they are coming for coffee. Many people are coming on board, but for us we are saying still we are there. And some people are silent because they know they've not planted coffee. The only industry that won't be touched, I assure you Ugandans, it is the animal industry. It won't be touched because the president, the fountain of honor, that is his interest. Have you ever known the reasons why people selling milk, they don't pay taxes? Here in the village, do you know that a person getting matoke from my village, from your plantation, before you pass any trading center, you pay tax? Have you ever seen someone putting a can or a jerrycan of milk, paying that tax? Have you ever known, your journalists go and probe, that every car that ferries milk, the coolers, they have the red and white number plates, they are exempted from tax. What about for us who buy fusos to carry our coffee and matoke? Do we get tax exemptions? Open up your eyes. The country has rotten, and Mr. President, accept us and we take up the mantle as NRM members. You cannot manage anymore.
The rationalization of UCDA. We have had some time off to move to our constituencies over this weekend, and we interacted with our people. We interacted with the farmers, interacted with traders, the business community, some cooperatives, and so we want to give our position on UCDA rationalization. One, we are against the rationalization of UCDA as Western Ugandan MPs because an impression has been created that we are compliant, that we don't mind about coffee. Actually, if you look at the figures of coffee in this country, number one is Uganda, and number two is Western Uganda in coffee. So there is a lot of coffee in Western Uganda, and so we have serious interest in this national crop called coffee. Number two, we are concerned that if government insists on, on rationalization of UCDA, we are going to lose the regulation role that it has been playing. We are going to lose the quality maintenance that it had reached as we talk now. We are going to lose the expertise, but also above all, the market promotion. And so we have the regulation risk, the quality risk, the market risk, but also the expertise risk once UCDA is gone. And we would want to ask government, who are we legislating for? If the farmers have said no, the traders said no, the cooperatives have said no, why are they insisting? Who are they legislating for? Because we are supposed to legislate for farmers, for traders. So, if you go to any part of this country, whether it is Western, Central, Northern, Eastern, everybody is saying, don't touch our coffee. So, why is the president insisting? We want them to parade any farmer in this country who says we are okay with rationalizing UCDA. Just one. All farmers are against it. All traders are against it. You know, when we lost the coffee marketing board, the price went down up to 200 shillings. Ugandans have now been recovering. Coffee is now at 13,000 a kilo. We are at our best. UCDA has given us 82 billion shillings. And yet we had invested only 44 billion. So if you are talking about saving cost, then the UCDA is making money. If you are talking about duplication, there is no duplication. If Museveni wants to tell us about duplication, let him first deal with his cabinet. You have a Minister for Foreign Affairs, a Minister for Regional Affairs, you have East African Affairs. All these are foreign affairs. And you also have international affairs. Minister for International Affairs, Foreign Affairs, Regional Cooperation, East Africa. Isn't that duplication? So let him start with his own house and wash it first. Let him first combine those ministries so that we know we have only one minister in charge of foreign affairs. Then you can deal with regional, you can deal with East Africa, Africa, and the international world. So for us, we believe that there is something hidden. We in the West are now suffering the costs of tea. People had started uprooting tea to plant coffee. Now, you have killed the tea, you are now coming for coffee. It is deliberate because they believe that the poor are easily governed. Once you're poor, they can govern you well. But that the rich are very difficult to govern. So they want all of us poor. It is deliberate. And then he will be coming to give out handouts. Handouts of Bonabaga Gaware, of parish development model. So that he's the only person who gives out money. Parish development model, you hear they say it is Museveni has given us. But Ugandans are hardworking. So, we are here together with my colleagues to speak on behalf of our people in Western Uganda, the farmers, and also to declare that we will be going next week, we will be going to the field again. We shall have a big meeting in Ankore, we shall have another meeting in Chigezi, we shall have another meeting in Ruwenzori, we shall have a meeting in Bunyoro, for the farmers to speak out. In Toro also we shall be there. So the farmers speak out. Because the representatives of the farmers who came to the committee, all of them said no. But their no has not been listened to. So let us mobilize the farmers to speak out. So they tell Museveni that you are not legislating for us. What you're bringing is your own idea. We rejected this very bill. President Museveni invited some members to State House and asked them to bring it back. I want you to ask some of these members, what has changed? You rejected this bill a few months ago. What has changed for you to now come and say the bill should pass? What has changed? For Museveni to say that those who are for Ugandans are being given money, I saw him alluding to that. I want you to ask our colleagues what has changed. They are going to Chisozi on Friday to completely deal with coffee, UCDA. Ugandans are watching. I want to advise our colleagues who are going to Chisozi. Rather than go to Chisozi to kill coffee, go and tell President Museveni from his home in Chisozi that Ugandans are against this move. Ugandans are not happy. And you see, we speak for the farmers. And I had talked about it. I want you to ask those who are supporting, who are they speaking for? Because we cannot legislate for Museveni. That's because Museveni doesn't want it. Can you imagine? It's the only reason. That Museveni doesn't want it. So what? Is he a coffee farmer? Because for me, I speak for farmers. Who is Museveni speaking for? I was educated using coffee. What did he use? So we speak with a lot of pain. And as members of parliament, when poverty increases, it affects us as members. We have taken the role of paying fees.
Which we are already doing.
So my colleagues can go to Shankwanzi, but when you meet them, please tell them, Chisozi, when you meet them, tell them that Chisozi is a slaughterhouse for coffee. And it will go into the history of this country. So we want to know who are for coffee and who are against coffee. We want to know who are the murderers of this national crop. And that's why we have come as members from Western Uganda to speak for the farmers, to speak for coffee, to speak for UCDA. Thank you very much.
Maybe another question should be
as you have heard, the writing is on the wall. There wouldn't be much I would add after our two very, very eloquent colleagues. But the only thing I want to emphasize, members of the press, is that this matter of coffee should not be looked at or should not be trivialized, because there are people who are intending or having an intention of trivializing it, and particularly making it appear as if it is a concern of only the Uganda region. This is far from the truth. The issue of coffee is a national matter, as coffee has been a national crop for time immemorial. You will recall really the transition, the time, from the time of the destruction of the Coffee Marketing Board and all the processes which have followed since that time. A lot of course, have gone under the bridge, but right now we are concerned to see that this kind of national economic crop can be disorganized, can be disadvantaged. When we are looking on, this will be very, very unfortunate. And I wanted to mainly concern myself with the aspect of the management. We are hearing a lot of talk that the removal of UCDA is aimed at, cutting costs, making sure that the costs in terms of staff salaries, staff costs, and so on and so forth are kept to the minimum. But in any process, there is what we call the trade-offs. You trade off the factors which led to the creation of UCDA have not gone away. Why was UCDA created? UCDA was created because the Ministry of Agriculture or the Ministry of Cooperatives, Trade and Market at that time didn't have the capacity, to undertake the functions what UCDA has been undertaking. There was too much on its plate. And the same goes actually for all these other MDAs which Parliament is rationalizing. Take, for example, UNRWA. When UNRWA was formed, before UNRWA, there was what we used to call the Road Unit Formation Unit. That was formed around 1995, 96, 97. I was working in the Ministry of Works. And I knew very well what capacity the Ministry of Works had to look after our roads. It was limited. And that's how government decided to delegate this function to first RAFU and eventually around 2006, UNRWA. And since that time, UNRWA has done a good job. You cannot tell me that UNRWA has not done a good job. UNRWA has done a good job. And in the view of most of us, it should stay. But because there is the emperor who has decreed that UNRWA must be, decentralized again, that it's going to happen. So the issue of recentralizing UCDA should be looked at in the perspective of the capacity of the Ministry of Agriculture to run these functions. That's what should be looked at. And in our view, some of us, we think that most of these ministries are sick. These ministries are sick. These ministries, there is a lot of operational malaise. They simply can't perform. You see? Even what they have, the few functions they have now, they cannot perform them. Then how about adding them more? You see? A Ministry of Agriculture, you see the mess which is within our research organizations. Nothing can move. Then you bring it, on top of that you bring it NADS, on top of that you bring it the function of UCDA, and you think you are serious? So some of us were saying, no, we need to speak out, we need to stand up and be counted. Even if at the end of the day, those who are for the decentralization of UCDA have the day, history will absolve us that these people, Isingoma, stood up and talked, only that he was not listened to. He voted to keep UCDA as it is, but he was not listened to. Mboate Kamwa did his part. We shall be absolved. And this will happen because we don't think that these institutions, almost all of them invariably, should be, should be rationalized in the way we are doing it. We think we will do better, given that. And the issue of this other argument which disturbs my mind is the issue of cutting costs. But in every aspect of management, including the economic aspects, there are trade-offs. There are what we call trade-offs. You trade off one thing to achieve another. And because these institutions have been operating well, they have been effective, they have been rendering the services required of them. We had to meet a higher cost to maintain them. You see, you had to meet a higher cost, for example, to pay UNRWA officials, to pay UCDA, and all these other staff who are in these organizations. You meet that cost, at a cost of, at a cost of ensuring that they perform the services. You get these services, but you pay the cost. It is not like, it is different from centralizing them, and then you have poor services. You recentralize, you put the services of the road function back to your Ministry of Works, and the officials there are busy sleeping, and you have no value for money. And it is you to lose. You do the same for the UCDA. The quality of coffee, whatever has been coming out of it, degenerates, and it is you to lose. So there is a trade-off on each and every, function. You need to forego something in order to achieve something better. You see. So, members of the press, this is our battle. This is the battle of everybody, including yourselves. We think it is high time that we all address this matter collectively, in one spirit, so that we can save our coffee, we can save UCDA. And the people of Bunyoro, nobody should deceive you about this. The people of Bunyoro, with whom, on whose behalf I speak, as a member of parliament from Bunyoro region, are very, very anxious about this proposal, about this bill to revert UCDA to the Ministry of Agriculture. They don't support it. They may not come here physically, but we are telling you on their behalf. They don't. This is a very big, major coffee growing area. We have a lot of coffee there, including myself. I'm a coffee farmer. See? And we think that we, by removing UCDA from where it is to Ministry of Agriculture, we are like somebody who buries his head in the sand and leaves the whole of his torso outside, and he says he's now safe. He has protected himself. That's not possible, and that's also true.
Members who signed the minority report were from different parts of the country, and to mention the former leader of opposition, that is Honorable Olbeti Achan, that she's from the north. Honorable Isodo Stella, she's from the east. Honorable Asanta Okot, she's from the north. Honorable Nyakata Sinas is from Bunyoro. And Honorable John Impalanyi and Honorable Matov Charles, only 2 members were from Buganda. And you should also know that this report, and most of these members are members from the other side of the ruling party. Majority members of, on the Committee of Agriculture just saw the fear that they cannot come out and stand against their party position, because it was very clear in the committee that they have to abide by the party position, by the cabinet position, and that is to take UCDA the way it is. Members of the public should also know that most of the stakeholders who appeared before the committee and representing the 12.5 million Ugandans all said no to taking back UCDA into the mother ministry. And among the stakeholders who appeared before the committee was the Buganda Parliamentary Caucus. We had stakeholders from Buganda Kingdom. We had stakeholders from Bunyoro. Those were the Coffee Growers Association, Bunyoro. We had the farmers from Kanungu, Masaka, coffee growers, West Nile, Northern Uganda. We had the Bugisu Cooperative Union, but also Bugisu Parliamentary Caucus. We also had a number of stakeholders, individual. All these ones, they were a representative of the 12.5 million Ugandans. They overwhelmingly said no. So what I expected from the main report of the committee was to respect the views of the stakeholders who appeared before the committee to represent the 12.5 million Ugandans. So we, being a people-centered parliament, Uganda parliament, we did not report exactly what the views of these 12.5 million people, farmers, coffee farmers, spoke. And this is against the will of Ugandans. Being a people-centered parliament, but also reporting otherwise. So the report that the committee came up with was just a table report. It was not a reflection of the views that the majority, 12.5 million Ugandans, did speak. I also want to call upon the public to join your members of parliament in demanding the rejection of the UCDA rejection. Someone asked that you people, why Bunyoro you don't plant coffee? Bunyoro you don't plant coffee. For us, we have been, initially we used to plant cotton. when the government started underfunding it, people gave up with cotton. We went to tobacco farming. Our farmers have been cheated every other day. We were fishermen. On the lake now, we can no longer fish. We can no longer fish. The military has taken over all the lakes. But all this under the Ministry of Agriculture's supervision. The Ministry of Agriculture should know that they have failed to perform their work efficiently and effectively. As we speak today, just early this year, we saw the Ministry of Agriculture giving out tractors without plows, others without the engines, and others without handlers. This working tractor that they gave out never had handlers. We have seen the Ministry of Agriculture fail to manage the fisheries sector. They have given it out to the army. They have given it up to the UPDF to take over the lakes. We as Parliament, we did make a resolution here for the ministry to go and come up with the Aquaculture and Fisheries Act regulation. Up to now, they have failed to come up with the regulation. We did recommend they come up with the tea policy. The Ministry of Agriculture, up to now, we have very many petitions in Parliament of farmers, of tea, tobacco. Western alone has over 5,000 farmers who are cheated by Nima Tobacco, by Continental Company, and all this is under the ministry, being under the Ministry of Agriculture. Today, our maize, our rice, cannot cross the borders of Kenya, cannot cross the borders of Tanzania. Our chicken, it cannot cross all those borders of our neighboring countries where we are talking about common market, we are in the East African integration. And under the supervision of Ministry of Agriculture, they are very silent. Just last year, we saw our maize, the kawunga, being poured when it was crossing over the borders of South Sudan. They were saying it is full of aflatoxins. And the Ministry of Agriculture is all seated, very comfortable, seeing farmers suffering, seeing traders suffering. They cannot stand out and speak for themselves. Today, the rice of Tanzania, in Hoima, it can reach up to the stores of a local businessman, door to door selling. Even the rice of Tanzania is cheaper than ours here. So our farmers have decided to lower the prices of theirs so that the one of Tanzania doesn't outcompete them. Being that ineffective, then again you call a ministry, an agency like this, Uganda Coffee Development Authority, to also come, you kill it. Members, what we should know is the main objective of this bill here is the Uganda Coffee Development Authority Bill 2024 is to kill, to remove, to abolish, to scrap off UCDA. And of course, when you kill someone, you cannot say that you are transferring the roles of the dead body to the what? To the mother ministry. You cannot transfer the roles of the dead body to the mother ministry. For instance, if I'm a member of parliament today and I died, my child who inherits me cannot do my work. So that's where we are heading. We are seeing UCDA going to be killed, and totally they bury it just because for them they are just looking at saving costs. They are looking about ineffectiveness, but yet themselves they have failed. Finally, Ugandans, wherever you are, we request you to join hands, your voices, so that we speak the same voice against the taking up of this UCDA into the main ministry.